Okay, guys, welcome to 16.2, and we're going to take a look at some more people, this time from the other side, about who did what in World War II. Now, first person we see is Neville Chamberlain. He was the Prime Minister of Great Britain before World War II, and he is most notable probably for appeasement, which we'll talk about more, certainly. But appeasement basically means that you give in to demands of a aggressor in order to keep the peace. And oftentimes it seems like you're just kicking the can down the road, and trying not to have to deal with these horrible consequences, and waiting till later on. And I'll show you what we mean as we move on a little bit. Winston Churchill, he was the Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War II, and his leadership skills and his speeches and his confidence and his swagger really were an amazing factor in at least keeping the people of Great Britain engaged in the war. Charles de Gaulle, he was the head of the French government in exile. And so what happened was that when the Nazis invaded France, and were threatening to invade France, Charles de Gaulle was trying to mobilize defenses and trying to prevent that. And when it came to like the last day where the Nazis were literally about to close in and capture him, he managed finally to escape to England, and where he helped organize forces to resist the Nazis in France. And he really, really did play a very, very strong and valiant effort. Eventually, he was successful, though in the early years faced many, many defeats. And it's shocking that he didn't get discouraged, but he really stayed with it and became a national hero. In fact, one of the airports in Paris is named after Charles de Gaulle. Appeasement. Here we go. Well, there is Neville Chamberlain, and he's holding in his hand this agreement that Hitler signed. And that agreement was Hitler said, "We promise not to attack any other countries, and don't worry about it. Everything's fine. We'll just keep the countries we already attacked. So, yeah, we promise." Now, of course, if you believe Hitler, your judgment probably needs to be evaluated. But at any rate, the idea was, well, we'll let Hitler take the countries he already has, but he has to promise not to take any more, instead of standing up to him and saying, no, what you did was wrong. You need to retreat from those countries. You can't do that. But instead, they said, well, maybe if we, give him those countries, maybe he'll stop and he won't attack us. And Winston Churchill once said that appeasement is like being in a room with a bunch of hungry alligators and feeding the alligators everyone else in hopes that eventually they won't eat you. But appeasement is very, very rarely a successful uh, position to take. Non-aggression pact. Here you can see Joseph Stalin. I believe this is Stalin's head of secret police. I'm not 100% sure. And we see some other German officials there. This agreement, in this case, this is a very specific agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union not to fight each other. And shockingly enough, Hitler violates that agreement with Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. Blitzkrieg. This was a technique developed by the Nazis, a lightning war strategy used by Germany, mainly against Poland. But you come with very fast moving, low flying planes, and you sweep in with a massive tank force very, very quickly, and the ground troops come and mop it up. All right, that's it for today. Thank you.